All right, good afternoon. Welcome to Greg and Dan Talk Telematics. We're still working out the name. I'm Greg Munden from Munden Ventures in Kamloops. If you caught our live feed about a month ago, it was our first session. We operate a small trucking business in Kamloops, and we've been using ELDs and telematics systems for a little over 4 years now. And in the first session, we covered some topics, and we thought we'd see how it went, and if it was successful, we'd move on and maybe do subsequent sessions. So that's what this is all about. Dan, you could introduce yourself?
Yeah, Dan DePalma. I'm with Streamline Transportation Technologies. So we're just here to try to give a little bit of a sense for what these tools can do within the operation and within the business, and not promoting anything specifically, just trying to help industry. So nice to see everybody again. Hope everybody's enjoyed the first show and hopefully enjoyed the second.
So today we'll just kind of recap what we talked about in the first session, which was really about ELD implementation, what we expect for regulation, and the timeline that you might want to think about if you're thinking about making the move to telematics or an ELD system. If you recall, last time we talked about regulation as moving down the pipe in Canada. It's been a start and stop kind of a situation, but it looks like it's well on its way now. We're expecting a Gazette 2 reading of the regulation sometime between now and the start of June, which really is the final step in moving us forward to full ELD requirements. That timeline is kind of up for debate, but we're probably looking at somewhere between 12 months and maybe at the outside 24 months, but it's probably 12 to 18 months out. One of the big steps that is being taken right now is Canada's looking at third-party certification for their ELD systems. This is different than in the US. The US doesn't have a third-party certification of ELD supplier products, and Canada has kind of, I think, learned from some of the challenges they've had down there, where a lot of ELD systems are able to be manipulated still, which is really the whole point of going to an ELD system and leveling the playing field and making sure that trucking companies and drivers are in compliance. Dan, anything to add to that from your perspective? Are you hearing anything different? Or
No, I think you're spot on. I think the fact that we level the playing field, make industry safer, is really, really critical. And we're really excited about the improvement of industry. I mean, we talk about this industry at great length and how important it is to North America as a whole. And I think this is a real positive step to helping trucking companies not only be compliant but get better. There's a lot of ways that a company can get better and be more profitable and hit all the check boxes that you're trying to hit as an organization.
So we talked last time sort of about the time it might take a company to implement, and we said at that time, really it's not too early to, in my mind, and I think you supported that in the experience that you see with customers, it's not too early to start thinking about taking those steps to implementation now. It takes longer than you think, and you really want to take your time. You want to ask the right questions, particularly now in light of the third-party certification. What I would encourage people to do is really talk to their supplier that they're considering and make sure that they're prepared to make a commitment of some sort around achieving third-party certification when that does come to be, because we're quite certain at this point that's going to be the case. So I assume you've crossed that path to some degree in your product.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's something that as a vendor you need to be able to commit. And you've got to be able to understand that that's what your customers are looking for. They're looking for somebody that's going to be in it for the long run. And so, yeah, I would encourage that as well. I think it's important.
So today, as you can see, we're in the cab actually of one of our trucks, and we thought it'd be a great way to really demonstrate some of the things about both the installation, the hardware, and the use of an ELD telematics system. No better way than to jump in a cab and see what we're actually, in our case, what we experience. There's a host of different options. We kind of touched on that last time. Everything from companies offering an Android or an iPhone app to deal with hours of service, to a tablet, which is the route that we've chosen to go, to a full-blown customized hardware package, which is going to probably take a little more room than this up in the cab. The important things to think about are an ELD package that's going to comply with upcoming regulation has to connect to the vehicle ECM. So in your case, and in the case of what we have here, we're connecting through the ECM by the J1939 regular hookup that any truck shop would connect to diagnose engine-related fault codes and such. I've got that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. So think about that. You got to have ECM connectivity. Got to have a way of complying with third-party certification. Those are the two. I think the two stand.
The number one priority for the driver for the day. Typically, you want to drive to the road, not to the box or not to the dashboard. So you can see here really quickly that, the ECM connection through cable on this one, and a simple mount, nothing that fancy, nothing that is too extravagant. It's simple and it works. I think is what I would look to try to get you to buy into. So really simply here, I'll just walk you through a couple things. I mean, you can see, and again, you know what, given Facebook Live, it may not be perfect, but get a sense of how simple it is. First part of the day, there's the ability to create inspections with a lot of these types of tools. I really value this a lot. It gives the opportunity to get rid of the paper in the cab. I'm going to say that the glass was fixed since I got in this cab last time. And through Schedule 1 and different templates, you can see really quickly here that I can get through this process. Obviously, a lot more diligent when I go through it, but the application is quite simple for the driver to use. That information through a data plan or through whatever connectivity pushes to the office instantly. So you've got information on logs and inspections back to the office in an instant fashion, and I think there's real value in that. This is obviously to the regulations south of the border that this platform was developed on, and they'll be similar north of the border, but you can see really quickly here that the driver just needs to do his or her job. If they do that effectively, the system's going to walk them through the different areas and the different details. It's going to help not only drive logs and inspections, but even load activities, unload activities, things that are going to help the business. Our mantra always has been, if we're going to spend a nickel on something, we want to get money back. So don't spend a nickel to get 2 cents back. Let's get 10 cents back if we can. So I really think that if you're getting involved in this technology, there's a real opportunity to get a little bit more from it, help the drivers, help the organization, create a healthy environment, and I think that's how you win at the end of the day.
What's really important to me, and when we looked at ELD systems, and if I gave one piece of advice aside from picking the right product that's going to comply to begin with, is pick a system that is easy and user friendly, because the last thing you want to do is try to implement a system with your drivers that is complicated, that makes their day more difficult than it already is. So any system that you look at, that you choose, should really be intuitive. It should be kind of button driven. A lot of the activities should be able to happen to some degree on their own. So for instance, when this truck hits a certain speed, 20 kilometers an hour for 20 or more seconds, the driver logbook is automatically going to go to on-duty driving. He doesn't need to manipulate that with an entry. Really, then it just comes down to sort of doing the same things that he otherwise would do with a paper log. If you stop, you're going to make an entry. Why are you stopping? And hopefully a lot of that is button driven. And in this case, with our system, it's driven from an activities button, which gives the driver a whole bunch of just single push button choices for loading, unloading, stopping at a brake check, doing a roadside inspection, those kind of things. And I think for me, again, if there was a piece of advice I could pass along to trucking companies considering moving to ELDs, look for that system and get your drivers involved. Like get them hands-on on a demo tablet or whatever device that you might be using actually when you move forward, and let them really see how simple it is, because these systems can really create a much better logbook with a lot more information, with a lot less time and energy involved in making that happen.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that adoption from the drivers, we all know it's really, really important, and it should be. I mean, a lot of the log piece is all about them, but I think the more you get it in their hands and they can test and go through different states of being with the tool, they'll like it, and you're a long way down the path to implementing successfully.
Yeah, we've had, if our trucking business is anything like similar trucking companies in Canada, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of apprehension. There's a lot of fear around the implementation of ELDs. So, the more I think that you can ease your drivers towards it, have conversations ahead of them opening the cab door on a Monday morning and seeing a tablet installed. Involve them early, talk through it, let them get their hands on some demo units, and really just ease your way into it. And again, all of that stuff takes time. So the earlier you get started, I think the more successful that you'll be. And I think I mentioned it in the first session. I'm certain we don't have a driver that would go back to paper logs. And there's a whole telematics piece that I think we would get into maybe in the next session, about all of the back office opportunities that a system like this generates for sort of operating and understanding how your business actually operates and what you can do better. So maybe that would be a good topic to get into next time, Dan. But
yeah, I agree.
If there's anything you want to...
No, I agree. I think, you know what, that's always the best feedback, is when a driver says, hey, I'd never go back. That's huge. The other one that I really love to hear is when the fleet manager says, we just completed an audit and we were 100% or 99 point something percent. I mean, those are the two pieces that really resonate with me. That's what you want to hear. And that's what's great about getting involved in this business, because that's where you can really help. You help the people in the cab first and foremost. You help the business achieve what they need to achieve in order to be successful. This is a hard business. It's not an easy business. I've been on that side of the fence too, not just on the tech side. And so I put a lot of value and a lot of stock in this technology. So yeah, I agree more, and it dovetails nicely into our next Facebook Live, which we'll post and give everybody some feedback on when that's going to be.
So guys, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you tuning in to our Facebook Live session to Dan and Greg talk. Dan and Greg and Dan.
Yeah,
we haven't
Greg and Dan.
We haven't worked that out yet.
Greg's driving the truck on this one, other than today.
But we appreciate you tuning in. We're happy to take any questions, so please feel free to post them, and one of the two of us will get back to you with answers or suggestions or our thoughts on it anyways. So thanks, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks, bud.
All right.
Really good. Cheers.